everyone? Thanks for tuning in. Once again, you're listening to World Combat Sports. For those of you that's enjoying this Wednesday, one day close to the fight weekend again, I'm here to address a situation that has been going on in recent days since WBC heavyweight champion, former Deontay Wilder stepped back to the scene to address the fans who had been inquiring that he come forward and speak on February 22nd, because there was a lot of speculation and word that was out there. But you know how that goes. Unless you hear it from the source itself, and people are always going to just drive it into a whole nother direction as if it has nothing to do with Deontay Wilder himself. A lot of people have been saying that Deontay Wilder is mentally depleted. He's fragile. He's broken. You know what I'm saying? He has a mental illness. I hear all the derogatory comments to he's smoking crack. He's a drug addict. Tyson Fury broke him down. That was the worst fight of his career. He's no longer the fighter he was. He's done. But I have footage. I don't know what this footage is going to do for a lot of people. I don't. But, you know, when certain media like myself get on here and, you know, you say certain things about experiences that you've had with this particular individual, Deontay Wilder, people want to call you a liar and everything. You know, I had a conversation with a couple of people, and it wasn't the most pleasant conversation. I mean, it was kind of downright, you know, whenever Deontay Wilder's name come into it, it just gets into racism and all this other stuff. And I'm not going to tell you I don't understand why. I get it. I get it why people want to sit up here and make it about race when it comes to him. But really, it doesn't make sense at the end of the day if that's going to be your leading topic. You know what I'm saying? If that's going to be your leading topic, there's a lot more controversial figures out here. Then I'm like, hey, there has to be another alternative to the conversation. The narrative has to be switched up just a little bit as to why you're so angry. And, you know, I'm not saying I enjoy listening to these people attempt to critique or criticize Deontay Wilder. But what isn't up for option or what isn't up for debate is whether or not I should be supporting the champ. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that's going to influence me from the outside in to say, man, you should follow suit with all the negative precipitation that's going on since he's actually returned to the mic. You know what I'm saying? You should follow everybody else. He's not a good guy. He's not a good guy. What are you doing? You're messing up your channel. You're doing this. Look, I'm solo dolo on this. I'm independent media. And yes, I'm black. And yes, I'm going to have my opinion. And yes, I support and have been supporting Deontay Wilder, you know, before, during, and after the reign. But some of these people that drop messages in my inbox, and they really want to hit you up on Facebook Messenger and have an in-depth conversation, man. And they try to be vicious with it. Like, you're trying to tell me an individual like Deontay Wilder, who is out of the sport, got you that upset that he's making accusations about somebody who's a known cheat? I mean, all you have to do is go find a source, a justification to validate what you're talking about. That's all you got to do. What merits the racial undertones? What merit you calling an individual out of his name? What merits that? You know what I'm saying? When you say, you know, that monkey's on crack. He's a basketball player. He never was a boxer. You know what I'm saying? When they forget the man and why he started boxing to begin with, right? But I got the footage that can potentially change your mind, because the way I looked at him going into the Staples Center and MGM Grand, I just think that was a situation where they had to choose. Well, I want to go with the boxer who's been doing everything right, knocking people out, against the template for which people view what boxers should be, or should I go with the cheat? Or should I go with Tyson Fury, who's been out the sport, who never defended the title? None of that. He haven't even defended a title once. Even the WBC title, he has not defended that. So I figure it was a bad group of individuals who chose to selectively choose what champion they wanted to, what fighter they wanted to support that night in two different locations. But what I can tell you is the decision they made was absolutely wrong. The fans that was here in the U.S. footprint, whether it be California or Vegas, they made the wrong decision not to, drown out whoever the UK fans, the Gypsies, or whoever they was. It don't matter. We're talking about other countries who cheer for their fighter all the time. The UK fighters cheer for their fighters all the time. Filipinos, Russians, Irish fans, Mexican fans, the list goes on and on. But when it comes to this US, though, that's where the confusion and distortion comes in for me. Because when are we so eager to support the op? Why so vicious? Let me show you something right quick. Let me show you something. I want you to see how, when I look at the situation with Deontay Wilder and the way the fans should look at him when he was on top and reigning as a champion, people was, calling me lies and stuff like that because they really don't check out, what I have on my channel or whatever. I call it recon media, being in the trenches. Some of this footage I was able to get because I had to recon the moment. I definitely had to recon the moment, but I'm one of the only people that has this moment. Real talk, no cap. I'm one of the only people that has this moment. So when you come to me and talk about, Deontay Wilder, his career is over. His career is jeopardy. He's mentally unstable. He should be in a padded room with a straitjacket on. He's no longer the same person. Of course, if you're going to say he's not the same person, then continue to do what you was doing when he was reigning. Because a lot of people was wishing that he come off that belt and Tyson Fury get the belt, and they wanted Tyson Fury to face Anthony Joshua. Okay, partially of what you was wishing for is coming true. All right, and that is Deontay Wilder has lost his belt, right? So from that time on, outside of the PBC interview, you haven't heard anything from him. So during that time, people seem to be drawn in for speculation as to what is going on in his life. And all of it is just negative connotation, man. I'm serious. Like, he's broken. He's seriously depressed. It's no signs, no visible signs that Deontay Wilder was visually depressed, but the people are basically insinuating and putting that narrative out there in a canopy, a dark canopy, and they want you to stand beneath that cloud as if it's real life, unless it's true. But let me show you some shit though. I just want to show you this now. Now just look around. Look around. Just look around now. Is this the same Deontay Wilder that walked to the ring with Tyson Fury on February 22nd? Look around. Look at the people cheering him on. Do you hear any boos?
Let's go! To this day! To this day!
Stay with me right now. Stay with me. You see all those people in the background? Stay with me now. It's a packed house over here, right? It's a packed house. Stay with me. This is recon media right here. You know what I'm saying? Champ look dope, man. Looks ready. Boom, over the top rope like a king, dude. Walks in the ring. Boom. Now, tell me if I'm wrong, man. Let me get up out of here. Tell me if I'm wrong. Like in that particular clip that you've seen, is it mirrored? Is it something similar to what we've seen in MGM Grand? I just want to be clear because I just want to kind of get an understanding of what people are looking at when you can't separate certain situations that Deontay Wilder's being in and say he wasn't the same on that night against Tyson Fury. So if he comes out now and give you his understanding of what went down that night, and he wasn't feeling a certain way, and he was calling out some people, yes, it's on record. I'm gonna talk about, him calling out Mark Breland and him feeling some type of way about him throwing in the towel, which was already spoke about. That was his right, okay? So in that video clip that you just seen, what was it that you can separate on how he came out the tunnel, battle formation with his team, cameras rolling? It was much different than the way it was when he came out the MGM Grand. Why do people not see that? And then him stepping over the top rope, that's different. It's different energy from him stepping over or entering that ring at the MGM Grand. I mean, am I missing something? Why people are not giving him credit for actually speaking up about the way he felt? He was the one that stepped in the ring. He was the one that stepped in the ring, people. I want to play this again because, yes, I have a right to sit up here and tell you what I seen. It's different from people who never been to a Deontay Wilder fight more than once. It's a difference. I say again, it's a difference from individuals. I don't care how many viewers you got. I don't care what you're talking about on here. It's a difference between somebody who's been in the camp and somebody who's been to more than one Deontay Wilder fight. So me getting on here and having conversations with people that just straight up agitated and belligerent about what he said, why do you not think the man has a point? This is my first part of the footage. I'm gonna show you the second half in a minute, but I want you to look at this, right? When people are dragging the champ through the mud, right, and saying he's delusional, and he's mentally incompetent, all from one fight with Tyson Fury. When Tyson Fury just had a fight with Otto Wallin where he took and had a cut over his eye and everything else. But Deontay Wilder was bleeding out of the ear with a fat lip, still fighting. And people saying the man is clinically depressed without any type of evaluation or therapy sessions or anything. They just making all these insinuations, right? But check this out again now. Look at the people around the tunnel now. This is pre-pandemic. Look at all those people up there. Do you hear a boo? Do you hear booing? I just want to know, do you hear any type of jeering? Look at it. I know you don't want to tune me into it. What do you hear?
Let's go!
Do Deontay Wilder look like he's freaking feeble? Do he look like he's incapacitated? Does he have the same energy that he did in MGM Grand? Do you see all those people cheering for the champ? This wasn't too long ago before he stepped in there February 22nd, 2020. Look at all those people. Packed fucking house, man. Packed house. Look at all those people cheering for the champ. Look at that. Whole different energy going on right here. Whole different energy. Okay. Boom. Okay, now did you seen that? And from what you witnessed on two occasions with him facing Tyson Fury, we know that fight right here was him stepping in there against Dominique Brazil, right? Now, of course, when another black fighter faces another black fighter, people pick and choose who they want to support. You know what I'm saying? And then that particular case, the champ was the champ, Deontay Wilder, reigning. You know what I'm saying? And people was freaking cheering the shit out of him. But with Tyson Fury, a neighboring fighter, sometimes the fans here on this footprint tend to try to go for the neighboring fighter, especially those haters that's been up here saying that Deontay Wilder cannot box and he has no skills. He's limited. He's fragmented. He's undeveloped. Well, guess what? Undeveloped has earned him 41. Undeveloped has amassed him 41. Undeveloped has basically contributed to him increasing his number of names with headstones that was on the front end of his right, left, whatever cadence you want to call it, right? But check this out. I just want you, the fans, to soak this all in and kind of give a different perspective on how you view a human being that has never tested positive for pets, has never been out here in the media getting arrested, freaking making a fool of himself, making a mockery, having a poor representation of being a black man in society. You know what I'm saying? Just because he is spoken, just because he has the right to FOS, freedom of speech. Check out this second clip now. Just check it out. I just want you to digest this and soak it all in because it's straight from World Combat Sports. My own footage. This is the way I see it outside of what I've experienced on multiple occasions with Deontay Wilder. And this is to the individuals who I've had a conversation with recently who was just absolutely trying to make it about race and being, with all the obscenities, the racial obscenities and everything. You have to do better. So as I kept my word, I said, I'll come on here and show them because they thought I was lying. I said, hey, check out this.
Hey, what you got to say there, champ? Yeah, man. What's up, black? Hey, Deontay, what you got to say? What you got to say? What you got to say?
So it looked like the champ is interacting with black, white. I mean, it looked like a white fan right there. That's another white fan right there taking pictures with the fans, right? Shaking hands, right? People chant, right?
What you got to say? What you got to say?
This me. Champ gave me 3 to this day. I mean, what did y'all see wrong with that? Just help me understand. Because receipts, I'm just saying, find somebody else with the receipts outside of looking through and viewing it from outside in, not visiting a fight or a fight camp or whatever. Tell me where you are saying this man, this is because he speak up for his people, that he doesn't have the right. What did you see in that video? He was like shaking hands, taking pictures with fans after the knockout that only of a fight that only lasted like 2 minutes and 17 seconds. All right. What did you see in that clip that persuades you to say, man, that's the worst person I ever met in my life with 2 gloves on? That's the worst person. Let me play that back again.
Hey, what you got to say there, champ? Yeah, man. What's up, black? Hey, Deontay, what you got to say? What you got to say?
Okay. Shaking hands. It don't look like all black people to me. It don't look like all black people to me. All the racial undertones and derogatory comments.
What you got to say?
So basically, what I'm telling you is, when y'all try to make it about something dealing with race for one fighter, just because he's calling out Tyson Fury for what he believed is an individual that cheated again, And everybody want to look at it like it's hilarious. Y'all don't know which direction to go because he called out Mark Breland. He been calling out Fury. He called out Mark Breland. Y'all don't know where to go. Oh man, that was the worst thing he could have did because he fired Mark Breland. Like the man is the one that stepped through the ropes, right? So if he's been with Mark Breland for quite some time and he chose to release him from the circle and being a part of his team, isn't this what basically caveats to the individuals that were saying Deontay Wilder should fire his whole team because he ain't shit? This is when the man was winning. Deontay Wilder was winning at the time when people were saying he should get rid of his whole team because his skills are just poor, subpar, marginal to be fighting at the elite level. They didn't understand and they didn't want to understand. This man was knocking cats out with what they considered just the right hand. So when it came down to him releasing Mark Breland following his bout, which this is not something that he went in hard. You know, he put it out there. He felt that his water was spiked. People shut that down. You know what I'm saying? He feels like Mark Breland violated the code for which they had spoken about previously to the fight. And a lot of you all don't understand that it's not okay to say, well, for so long, we want to highlight this Mexican style type of fighting, right? Where these Mexican fighters go in there mano a mano and try to knock each other's head off. Standing in the pocket and trading shots all the time. It's been happening for decades. People want to talk about how Triple G back in the day before Daniel Jacobs exposed him once he stepped up his level of competition. He was like, oh man, Abel Sanchez has him on the Mexican style. People was glorifying that shit back in the day. And some of the fighters today. Some of the fighters get away with it because that's what they expect for that fighter to do. You know, give us the Mexican style, right? But when Anthony Joshua stepped in there with a last-minute replacement and Andy Ruiz, I didn't see people running around the ring crying, talking about protect the champ, throw in the towel. When have we seen that shit? Anthony Joshua was all over the motherfucking canvas with legitimate knockdowns. And people weren't running around waving the towel like they was about to throw the towel in. Anthony Joshua quit that night. And don't nobody talk about any of that. But Deontay Wilder was still fighting when Kenny Bailey stopped the fight. And then he directly went over to Mark Breland and said, why you stop the fight? You know, he started conversing with him like, what's going on? And Mark had his hand up there like he was unsure, you know, he was confused, you know, scared, you know, what he just did. Don't sit up here and talk about Breland being the voice of reason when we're talking about him being a part of a team. And when you're a part of the team, you're supposed to what? Adhere to the person you're working for. He was working for Deontay Wilder. It has nothing to do with his Olympic pedigree or him being a former world champion. If you are a part of the team, stop calling everybody else around him that's a part of the team yes men. Because the fighter, if the fighter isn't able to make any type of decisions, then guess what? He don't have a team. If you can't make any decisions, you don't have a team. You can't sit up there and be the one that's training, breaking your body down, taking the punishment and everything. And then, you know, you have people say, hey, we were going to take this fight, but nah, we ain't going to take this fight now. Why? Just because I don't think it's a good fight for you. Well, we haven't fought in a year and a half. It ain't no good fight. That ain't a fucking team. So if by chance he said, you know, to his team behind closed doors, whoever it may be, at no time do you throw in the towel. I want to be a warrior. If I want to talk about, you know, going in here and sacrificing and a body this and the body that. I have to be able to live by my own standard, by my own words. That's the code of honor, right? Deontay Wilder was saying, I'm living by my own words. That's the integrity of a man. If I say I want to go ahead and inflict harm upon a man, then I have to go out on my own shield. Plenty of fighters have said that. Plenty of fighters. They're up here ranting and raving about Cepeda and Baranchik. But these fighters are going down, both going down, and nobody's screaming about throwing the towel. Because they was figuring that Cepeda was going to be the one to step up out of there as the victor. No one was saying anything. But on this night, everybody want to act like they've been reading the boxing scripture and Mark Breland saved Deontay Wilder's life when it's been no freaking post-fight report that he was in a coma. The man was in the hospital for weeks at a time trying to recover. He's been seen out in public, walking around in a circle, talking to himself, not knowing what his whereabouts were, not able to make it home. He called an Uber and then went to a freaking pier to look at the ducks when he supposed to went home. He called an Uber and ended up in Denver, Colorado. The man's been talking about space, saying, you know what? That light right there looked familiar. Is that a UFO or something like that? He hasn't really been out there at all doing anything that's outside of, what people will call mental sanity. But when it comes to Mark Breland, they said he was the voice of reason. You think I'm lying? Let me hit you. Let me hit you with this. All right. Let me hit you with this. What these people saying.
And the glove part was not really attached. It was like, so he was catching them like with the part that's supposed to be over the wrist. Not correct.
Not correct. Okay, Joe Rogan.
The next one, he said egg weights. He said he had egg weights in his hand. This is recent, like a couple days ago. Then yesterday there was an article that said that he believes that his water was poisoned
by his own trainer.
And Mark Breland was part of that.
Understand, for folks who may not know who Mark Breland is, former, I think, Olympic gold medalist, world champion.
Okay, first of all, I like Luke Thomas, right? But he said, I think. When you put that T word in there, you need the K. K-N-O-W. No, not think. Because I know a lot of people, want to sit up here and they was talking about World Combat Sports. Why are you talking about MMA? You ain't a boxing channel. That's why we don't tune. I get it. But hold these cats accountable too. Hold these individuals that's trying to cross thread in between combat sports because it ain't easy. When you're strictly talking about one sport in general, you tend to sway off and run into walls when you talking about people that you don't even know the history or you never followed. Luke Thomas has followed strictly another sport. Now he's obtained a huge contract and he's trying his best to speak on boxing. So he's talking about Mark Breland, I think. Look what he goes on to say.
Across two different weight divisions, if I'm not mistaken. He is.
If he's not mistaken now.
Or was, till he was dismissed in that corner. That was the guy that threw the towel for him, Breland should be thanked by Wilder and his camp until the end of time. His other trainer, I forget his last name.
See?
He was out there.
See? Then producer Mos is a bitch, ain't he? You're coming on a show spreading a narrative and you're stuttering all over the place. Yeah, I'm going to call your ass out on it because you ain't following boxing and MMA in the same light. You have people that stick to boxing channels. You have people that stick to MMA. But it's very difficult to switch the two up and balance them equally when you come out here and talk about them. He's stumbling all over the place, but yet he's trying to vouch and advocate for Mark Breland.
They're at the post-fight press conference being like, I don't know if I would have thrown that towel. It's like, you fucking yes man. Are you kidding?
So he just called the team a yes man. And that's one thing about Luke Thomas. Luke Thomas. He always want to talk about yes men. And I like Luke Thomas. He's a prior Marine like myself, simplify. But this has nothing to do with, wearing the green. But we're talking about a situation where obviously you're not that inclined to know what the history is You're not for sure, but your own Joe Rogan podcast, where both of these guys has recently taken their careers to a whole nother level, which I appreciate. But yet you're talking and basically advocating a narrative that you're uncertain about. You're uncertain about the motherfucking narrative.
Kidding me?
Yeah.
Breland took it upon himself to, I don't save the guy's life, but certainly make the right call for halting the contest. He was thanked by being dismissed and now essentially dragged through the mud with utterly, what I'm guessing, are utterly baseless accusations about poisoning his own fighter. I mean, maybe Tyson Fury's fucking awesome. That seems like the simplest explanation.
Well,
for all of this.
Tyson Fury changed his strategy, and also, yeah.
So let me back up a little bit for what he said. I want to go to this one point.
Tyson Fury in the first
his camp until the end of time. His other trainer threw the towel for him. Breland should be thanked by Wilder and his camp until the end of time. His other trainer.
So Luke Thomas say Breland should be thanked to the end of time. Where do you come up with that? To be honest, like, why is Deontay Wilder this type of individual, human being who has freaking accumulated 42 victories, 41 knockouts, and one loss, one draw? Why is he not being recognized as the fighter? Because if he was in there winning and everything, it was all good. Now that he's lost, it's even worse. So many of you all was critiquing him while he was winning, and it wasn't good enough. His skill set was pretty much of that of a embryonic type of technical display while competing, right? At the highest level in the heaviest division, right? But now that he's lost the title, from all that criticism, from what you was trying to say about him, everybody want to get on here and say, see, we show. It was the same people that were saying that the first time he stepped in there with Tyson Fury, they didn't get what they wanted. What they got was Fury laying on his back in the 12th round. Though he arose, we can speculate all we want to about Jack Reese and the long count. And if you don't think that I mentioned something about it to Jack Reese one-on-one, I did. Check out the interview. I did. I thought the count was pretty long. Enough for Tyson Fury. And then to get on your knees. But anyway, that's a different story. But Luke Thomas was stuttering all over the place. Why are you out here speaking on a situation where you are not familiar with? You don't have a clear understanding about some of these boxers you're talking about. You're going off producer notes and recall memory. So how can you make a statement to say, I'm advocating for Mark Breland? They should thank him to the end of time for saving Deontay Wilder's life. We're not talking about a situation where this man was stretched out like Leo Santa Cruz. We're not talking about Deontay Wilder being stretched out like Dillian White. We're not talking about Arthur Spilka. We're not talking about Dominique Brazil. We're not talking about all these fighters, man, that has been knocked out in a way, Codrigan. We're not talking about all these fighters has been placed in a situation where we're like, damn, are they actually going to get up? Amir Khan, James Kirkland. Some of the worst knockouts you'll see. Was Deontay Wilder at any given time doing that fight? A second fight, of course, not a first fight, the second fight. Was at any time EMTs was worried, or the commission was worried? No, he was on his feet. He was still swinging before that towel came in. And even when Kenny Bayless freaking stopped the fight, what happened? He was arguing with Kenny Bayless like, no. What you stop the fight for? The man was still a champion at the time. No. What are you doing? Kenny Bayless trying to explain to him, your corner threw in the towel. Boom. He makes a beeline over to Mark Breland. People saying he was so fucked up and he was delirious and he was out of it. But how do you have direction? Isn't that what's supposed to happen when the referee have you stand up from a knockdown and they tell you to walk to your left and come back? or whatever direction to kind of see if you are coherent enough to continue. So if Deontay Wilder was able to have direction and go over there to his corner, don't you think he had enough direction to know that Tyson Fury was still in there with him, and Tyson Fury was his opposer that night, and he was defending his title, and it was up to him to keep on throwing punches to kind of get back into the groove that he never had prior to stepping into the ring, and from what we've seen him accomplish before as a champion? I mean, isn't that the way it is, people? You can't sit up here and say we've seen Deontay knock out 41 dudes, right? 41 adversaries, 41 opponents. And then he walks into the MGM Grand and he doesn't have the same energy to him. And you act like, huh? Tyson Fury whooped his ass. Yeah, he took a beating. But was Deontay Wilder that person that you're used to seeing 41 other times go in there and destroy cats? Breaching their jawline. Punish them. Is it? That shit rhetorical, bro. That shit's rhetorical. Real talk. You know, I didn't want to bring the receipts out here, but you know, from the clips that I showed you, does it look like he doesn't have fans out here? Does it look like all of a sudden the accusations that he's making? Is there any point in time that he was up here making excuses while he was champion, regardless of the adversity that he felt? We didn't see it. But if he wants to say that he believes Tyson Fury gloves was freaking loaded, or it was something different about those gloves, because listen, you can find all the historians and some trainers that's in the sport of boxing. They will tell you switching up a trainer under a label of crunk doesn't make you a power puncher. Going to a different trainer doesn't make you a power puncher. It doesn't make you a freaking power puncher. What do they say? The last thing to go is power, right? They say that's the last thing to go. So why are there people up here saying that Deontay Wilder, he's not the same? He don't have any power, this, that, and the other. Isn't there a lot of variables that influence a fighter, usually, that presents the knockout, like fatigue, breaking down a fighter, you know, however you choose to do it? Whether it's hooks to the body, jabs, volume of punches, type of combinations that you landed. Isn't that how it all plays out to break down your opponent? I'm just asking the question, because what I showed you on here, I have a clear vision that it was thousands of people in that arena cheering Deontay Wilder on. Thousands of individuals that adored him and embraced him as a champion. So for the individuals to get on here and act like he's a degenerate, mental declivity, and rehabilitation is upon him right now. You know, that's what people are implying, that the man is not competent to step in the ring. They're talking about Deontay Wilder should be, for what the words he's put out there. And that just goes to show us a lot of temporaries in the sport of boxing. The man saying he believed his water was tainted. But if you follow boxing close enough, it's been plenty of fighters who had their water tainted. There's been plenty of individuals who we thought we can trust, but they found out to be snakes in the grass. Individuals who are not trustworthy for whatever influence that was brought upon them that caused them to do what they did. And I'm from the outside looking in on this allegation of water being contaminated, but Deontay Wilder made the allegation. So now it's up to those individuals who are the recipients to do something about it, whether it's litigation, whether it's, given their legal teams or whatever. If someone places a accusation out there on you like that, at that level where it's all over the media, then guess what? Those same individuals have the right to get with their legal team and file a lawsuit. Isn't that what Alexander Povetkin did? It's a different circumstance for Deontay Wilder, but isn't that what Alexander Povetkin did? I mean, come on, man, work with me now. Work with me when it comes to this boxing media. Just work with me. That's all I'm saying. Isn't that the way you do it? Let's see if any type of legality is presented in upcoming weeks due to these freaking allegations made by Deontay Wilder. In the interim, all I ask is that you understand that y'all shouldn't just jump on the freaking torchlit parade as if Deontay has never did anything that you respected him to do as a fighter. It's going to be a long time before you have another U.S. heavyweight champion. Forget about ethnicity. It's going to be a long time before we see it again. So let me get to some of these comments, man. Appreciate everybody stopping through in the building. Alexander in the building. What's good, man? Say what is up? World Comeback Sports. Bomb Squad, what's good? Mike 202. TJ in the building. Salute to you, man. Connell Local Sports in the building. Salute to you. D Hodges, what's good? Coach Chris, man, salute to you. What's good, man? I ain't worrying about him. It's always going to be, when Wilder name pops up, you always going to have the naysayers out there putting in work. Put that work in, naysayers. Long as you up here listening to what I got to say, put your work in, man. Every character you type and your thought process, that's work. That's homework. That's what I'm telling you. Put your homework in, man. It doesn't mean you're going to get a high grade. Right now, the comments you're leaving are F. That's what I'm talking about, wrench game. Shoot, that's what I'm talking about. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Coach Chris say Chisora is a bum. Fury failed the drug test for the hammer fight. That's what I'm saying. You know, there's many other fighters that's out there. Even Dillian White with the glove situation when he went in there and fought Oscar Rivas. He had a glove situation, and also his B sample disappeared. But yet Dillian White is the one to get on here and talk about Deontay as a coward. He loved using that C word, coward, coward, coward. And if you didn't know, Tyson Fury loved using the C word as cunt, this and all this and the other. But no one says anything. Is that being disrespectful? I'm just keeping it 100, man. Retro for life, what's good? Say WCF, salute, brother. Appreciate your steady grind. Appreciate it, man. Mississippi King said, I saw the interview on Mark saying Fury was in Wilder's head in the first fight. And, you know, if Fury was in Wilder's head in the first fight, that means Wilder took the fight serious. Because if a fighter's not in your head, so to speak, and you have some type of, if you don't say that particular opponent presents a challenge to you, then I don't know what it is. You know, you've heard Mike Tyson say all the time, like he walked in the ring and he was fearful. You know, he was scared a little bit. If you walk in there and you just zoned out, you don't have any type of fear. I'm not saying the fear that you don't want to step through the ropes, but you know, you're not really thinking about your opponent in a way that they present a danger to you in the sport of boxing. Then guess what? You're going to be in for trouble, man. But once again, 42 victories, 41 knockouts, bro. Tyson Fury had a pending appeal from the Christian Hammer fight, and he was able to step in there. That's boxing. That's the grimy part of boxing. If you have a pending situation, you shouldn't be allowed to step into another big fight, period. Especially for some belts. Appreciate that info, Coach Chris. You know what it is. I'm not understanding 79, but brings up Fury glove issues with both McDermott fights. You know, I'm trying to tell people, Fury just didn't start cheating people. Fury just didn't start cheating because Deontay is talking about what he's believing to be a glove situation, egg weights, the punishment he was taking from. He was the one that was in there, and through it all the freaking headlocks and freaking dirty fighting that Fury was doing in there in front of Kenny Bayless, who act like he had on beer goggles. The man was still not complaining except once. What? Then he complained once when he got knocked down and say, okay, he got hit behind the head. He kind of gave Kenny Bayless that look. For those of you hardcore fans, right? He just kind of looked up and said, dang, man, he hit me behind the head. He's hit me behind the head. But he wasn't just complaining all day, touching the back of his head with his glove. What about the headlock, grabbing his neck, being all theatrical? No, he was in there grinding that shit, showing heart, showing dog. You get idiots on here talking about, if it was me, put me in there with Deontay Wilder. I'll goddamn knock his ass out. Man, get the fuck out of here with that shit, man. And then you speak up on these platforms that's all about the torch lit parade against Deontay Wilder, right? And they co-sign these people who's talking about they'll get in the ring. Y'all obviously don't know. Man, y'all obviously have no clue as to the repercussions to your words. Y'all laugh when he stepped in there with Charlie, that YouTube dude that's a goofball. Y'all laughed and thought that shit was just easy work. But bro, it's difficult to step in a boxing ring, whether you have headgear on or not, lace up and spar people. You just can't pick Deontay Wilder's one loss and say, I'm ready to step in there with the champ. I mean, come on, man. You're not being logical and honest with yourself. That's some bullshit. You would get your ass knocked the fuck out. What's going on, man? Y'all think this shit is a game? This ain't virtual reality in boxing when these cats stepping through the ropes. People lose their life for a reason. You take punishment in sparring and you take punishment in the ring. Okay? Now, if a fighter steps through the ropes and they don't take any punishment, they say you had an easy touch. That was a soft touch right there. And then those of you that use the term bum and all that, I don't. Oh, he was a bum. He was a tomato can. He was a cab driver, Uber, Lyft driver, all that shit. But boxing ain't a play sport, people. He said, I don't mind banter, just no lies and no name calling. These UK fighters and fight fans are so soft. I look at it like this, that coach. Our own fans over here in the U.S. footprint allow the UK fans to use words that they wouldn't allow fighters to use here. Like if Deontay Wilder was using cunt all the time, like Fury, Billy Joe Saunders, and some of those other fighters that used to, verbalizing and expressing themselves in that manner over in the UK, they would be like, oh, he disrespect men, women, Me Too movement. Y'all need to get together and goddamn go up there and say something to Deontay Wilder because he's calling women cunts. He's calling men cunts. That's what I'm saying, man. They would sit up here. Oh, that's not one of those words that is respectful when you out here. Why do you address other fighters as cunts? That's what I'm saying, man. This is a double, triple, quadruple standard, man, that we have to deal with. What is the reason that you all hate the man so much? Just leave it in the comment section, those of you just tuned in. Hit the like button while you're in. What is the reason? Like before, when he was winning and knocking dudes out, you say he wasn't facing the best competition. Now, this is where I will elucidate just a little bit more when you say that he wasn't fighting the best competition. So therefore, he is one of the champions who gave Tyson Fury, who is considered undefeated, right? One of the best heavyweights in that division. He immediately gave him that rematch after the first one. That was controversial and everything. He immediately gave Tyson Fury the rematch. He immediately gave Tyson Fury the rematch. And Tyson Fury said, nope, I'm not ready. I want to go fight Tom Schwartz and Otto Wallin and go to the WWE. He went there, people. He did not present or accommodate Deontay Wilder for immediate rematch. He did not. Now he has the belt. And he wants to go fight somebody else. He wants to go fight somebody else. Who is the Duck Master? Who is the Duck Master? Because I can show you one of the primary Duck Masters in the game. I can show you if you want to see it. I can put my thumbnail back up there. I mean, if you really want to see who the Duck Masters are, and you know what work Deontay Wilder has put in, I can show you. There you go. If you want to check it out, there you go. Who's the Duck Master? Just tell me. Anthony Joshua? Absolutely. He never wanted to really fight Deontay Wilder. He was just hoping they can lock him in, you know, to a contract where he can avoid. Tyson Fury's looked up at the lights. Look at that head. Look at the posture of his body. Look how he's laying on his back. And when I asked Jack Reese why he didn't call the fight, this is fact, people. This is receipts now. He said because Tyson Fury's leg was up and the sole of his feet was on the ground. So that means mechanically, he still had awareness of his functionality of his body because he had one leg up. Now, he tried to explain to me that if he would have been straddled, stretched out, both legs, both toes of both feet, pointing straight up at the ceiling, he would have insinuated the fight would have been called. But since one leg was up, he had some type of functionality and coherence that still gave him a bit of hope to return to his feet and fight on to finish the fight. That's what he told me. Look at the interview. For the spirit of boxing, right there, Reese. And you see Anthony Joshua over here. Come on, man. Stop playing. When we see Anthony Joshua over there, he never wanted to fight Deontay Wilder. But anyway, just thought I'd put that out there. Just thought I'd put that out there, man. Wilder has to take some legal action and prove Fury cheated. If not, I'm tired of hearing about this. Okay, so him coming out is actually an indication that he's willing to speak out about it, right? You know what I'm saying? Isn't that what we do? We speak out about it, right? So if there's no freaking merit behind it, then people will look at it as if it's false. And there's nothing behind it to say, well, what weight do we have, or what validity? How are we going to justify this statement that Deontay Wilder had, right? But he spoke out about it. That's the primary part. He spoke out about it. Now let's talk about the legal part of Deontay Wilder, right? This is not Billy Collins and Luis Resto and Panama Lewis. This is not an indication that at the present moment they can confiscate the gloves on that night, because that wasn't the case. See, Billy Collins, they was able to confiscate the gloves and found out that they was altered and the padding was removed. All right. I'm breaking this shit down for you, for the people who saying you tired of hearing it. I get it. And I appreciate you stopping through with the comments. All right. I'm just responding. So therefore, if they weren't able to confiscate the gloves at that point in time, or they wasn't aware until looking at the fight again or something to that nature, just reviewing the video and all that, it'll be hard for anybody to locate those gloves right now. Now, why would anybody insinuate the padding may be removed? We've seen the video, we've seen the stills, we've seen the frames, we've seen all of that. Also, we have heard from other fighters who basically said, look at these gloves. He was sparring me with these gloves and the padding's removed. There's been accusations of him pouring gasoline on his hand. I mean, it's not like you have no sources out there to validate that or to justify that Tyson Fury may indeed be a culprit who's been removing padding from his gloves or manipulating his gloves at some point in time, whether it be sparring or the Christian Hammer fight or stuff like that. It's not like these are firsthand, like new accusations that have been going on with Tyson Fury as being a cheater. People just tend to ignore it because it's him. Combat sports love the villain sometimes. A lot of times they just love the motherfucking villain. But in this particular case, people are making Deontay Wilder out to be the villain when he's actually the good guy. Deontay Wilder's a good guy. Because if he would have left the sport and was strung out on drugs, we would be getting much more vitriol than Tyson Fury can ever imagine. Because they would have called him a crackhead, dope fiend, all this other shit. He shouldn't be allowed to participate in sports. But then they won't go back in history, all these boxing historians, and they won't go back to when we've had much worse situations break out in boxing that they don't talk about. But since we're in a social media era, they want to talk about how bad Deontay Wilder is. But yet they can't bring up anything except, well, he went on the Breakfast Club and he said the Bronze Bomber wanted to freaking catch a body. I mean, have we heard worse in the sport? It's bravado. It's trash talking, man. Right? Why are you worried about him saying the Bronze Bomber alter ego to his fighting brand, his name, his alias? Why are you mad that he said he want to catch a body in the ring? He shouldn't be allowed to box. So you rather him go bite somebody's ear off? Should he be allowed to box then? Because Tyson was allowed to come back to the sports after biting a man's ear off. He was allowed. People have been allowed to return to the sports from loading their gloves with plaster of Paris. They was allowed to return. Right? I mean, people was allowed to return to the sport. Zab Judah putting his hand around Jake Nady, I think that's his name, the referee, after he was knocked out by Costa Zoo. He thought he stopped the fight too early. It's plenty of times. Or the situation with Zab Judah punching Floyd Mayweather low. Just look at the fight between Bernard Hopkins and Roy Jones. It's been so many fights out there that you make yourself like, damn, is what Deontay Wilder saying that bad? I mean, Mike Tyson has some of the legendary clips, out there, want to eat somebody's kids. I mean, is that truly something that supersedes what Deontay Wilder is talking about right now? Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Deontay, if he want to come out here and talk about the gloves was fucked up, then yeah, he was the one in the ring, and that's the way he feels. Him saying that he felt his water was tainted, contaminated. That's not the first time in boxing that's happened. George Foreman has mentioned his water was tainted. Then we go back to Panama Lewis saying, get me the mixed bottle. When it was Aaron Pryor and Aguelo. This is not the first time the water has been freaking a topic of discussion. So why are y'all sitting up here just acting like he's creating this shit because he lost his belt? He hasn't talked with anyone for 8 months, right? So you all was crying and screaming about, he's in a clinical depression. So basically, as a fighter, right, he comes back and does an interview with 78 Sports TV, right? And he's talking. The man is freaking talking. He's not stuttering. He's not bumbling over his word. He's not sitting up here trying to figure out what to say next, like it's difficult for him to speak on an adult level. He's not looking like he's impaired verbally. He's unable to put a sentence together. He's talking normal. He's articulating himself. He's telling the people his thoughts on that night. And y'all still mad. Y'all still mad, man. Y'all are still mad, man, at the wrong thing. So they say, so the water thing, why don't he take legal action? A water, look, in order for you to take legal action, there has to be circumstance, right? So him verbally making an accusation against tainted water, how is it to be proven? You have to somehow, some way have the water that was contaminated. Now, you say, how does he verify that? His body. Because if he's walking out to the ring, he feels good, and they give him some water because guess what? You're waiting at the tunnel. And of course, you know, your mouth is dry and somebody's giving you water before you step in the ring just to give you that little bit of hydration. And then he starts to feel a certain way. His legs are feeling heavy and everything else. Isn't that your body? Don't you know how your body feels? So what else would there be for somebody who's been in the sport as long as Deontay Wilder not to have a clear understanding of how he's feeling as a human being? He doesn't have to be in the ring to know that he's feeling funny. So the only way that he can take that SB90 is to have the bottle of water and have it tested. Now, if a certain person was giving him water and then that water was dispersed or discarded and they're not able to define the sample in question, then you can't sit up here and expect investigators to go over here and say, can we locate where's the landfill where the trash was taken out for the night of February 22nd in question? And they're going to go out to a landfill and look for a bottle of water that he had. It's not going to happen, people. And then we're not clear to say that Deontay Wilder got tested for any type of something being in his body at that night. You know what I'm saying? It was a whirlwind of a night. He lost his title and everything else. So what we do know is that he was able to have surgery. But as far as contamination, he's going off the way his body felt. And I haven't talked to him yet. I haven't talked to him one-on-one. But you can go to 78 Sports TV and check out the interview for which he did over there. Maybe that can answer some questions. What reason does Mark Breland have of poisoning his champion fighter who is making him great money? Excuse me? What reason does Mark Breland have of poisoning his champion fighter who's making him great money? Why now? Why now throw the fight under larger circumstances like the AJ fight? So I'm guessing that you're saying Mark Breland making money. We really don't know. I don't get into the financial compensation of people that's in the team. That's just not what I do. But what does making money has to do with it? Like, listen, I was in the camp. People say what they want, but Mark Breland wasn't this loud, boisterous voice over there on the ring apron shouting out commands to Deontay Wilder. That's fact. Each time that I was there, and I've seen him in a sparring session, in multiple sparring sessions on that night, I didn't hear or see Mark Breland on the ring apron screaming out commands to Deontay Wilder. Never. So for him to make these accusations against Mark Breland, that's what he felt. I'm not speaking for him. I'm just saying in general. I'm generalizing the accusations, and I'm generalizing what you just asked me. If people were saying that Deontay Wilder's skill set was rudimentary, right? Why are y'all such in arms about him firing Mark Breland? Moving on. He's got to do something, bro. Or as nothing's going to be done if Fury will remain the WBC champ. Fury's going to remain the WBC champ, man. This is long past him remaining. This is all about getting the message out there that something wasn't right. He's not going to be stripped of a title when they're not conducting an investigation, an internal investigation. Mauricio Suleiman's not going to conduct an investigation. That's a lot of money in this heavyweight fight that they're trying to make with Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. It's a lot of money, people. They're not going to conduct an investigation that hasn't started yet without having pieces of something that's in a chain of custody. They don't have the water bottle in a chain of custody. They don't have the gloves confiscated like Luis Resto and Billy Collins. They don't have that. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have the right to speak up about the night in question. Come on, man. He has every right, people. I honestly don't think Wilder's stupid enough to take Fury to court with the cheating accusations. So for him to take someone to court or him to be stupid enough, well, at least he's spoken out about the situation. So what he can go to court about, if contractually he's bonded for a trilogy and Fury refuses to acknowledge or fight him, then that is a legal situation that he can take him to court. But like I said before, post-fight, if you do not have example here, example alpha, example bravo, how are we gonna sit up here and test anything if the gloves or the water bottle wasn't confiscated on the night of? How are you gonna do that? That's a big question. That's a big question, man. He never said it was a heavy costume. You just going off hearsay, bro. He said Mark Breland, and we already know what he said in that manner. But he didn't talk about no dang costume being heavy. You all are running off with stuff that you're hearing from the media that came out in the media. You need to do your research just a little bit more thorough, man. So in other words, there's no way of proving anything. Let's claim it happened. Listen, I'm a Wilder fan, but all this doesn't add up. Okay, if it doesn't add up to you, hey, who am I to sit up here and convince you if it doesn't add up? I'm just giving from what I know and from what my review of the situation is. You haven't heard me say, well, that happened. I'm speaking of the situation and the message that he sent out. I'm speaking on it. I'm not telling you that I was told firsthand. Like I said, go look at the interview that he's done. And just like everybody else, I listened and I took what I wanted from it, and I'm speaking on it. He fired one of his team members in Mark Breland. And people want to talk about the Olympics and former world champion. There's plenty of world champions that's been out here in boxing that has been incarcerated. It's plenty of boxers who doesn't have a stellar life in general, but they change themselves around. It's been boxers who came from a bad life, made big, and earned a living. And then there's boxers who have basically came into the sport, did well, and then fell off by the wayside. Either way it goes, we know who we are as a person, right? So if Deontay Wilder felt that there was something wrong on that night and he was feeling a certain way, and like he said he has credible sources. Why are people refuting that? If you don't have firsthand knowledge on the sources that he's talking about, then why are you just basically discounting it as if it don't matter? If it's a lie, if it's a falsity, you shouldn't do that. You should at least give him the benefit of the doubt as a fighter to say, you know what? I didn't feel a certain way that night. He's not complaining about losing his belt. He's complaining on how he lost the belt. He's making accusations on a person that is a known cheat. But SB90, when you speak of Deontay Wilder and you're a fan, but you can, this don't add up and all that. But does it add up if Tyson Fury is a known cheat though? Like, people are failing to bring that to the surface. Do you recognize him as being a cheater on more than 1, 2, 3 occasions? Are you identifying that? Because I'm not hearing you all talk about that. Y'all act like the man just don't have any fiber of his body to come in here and cheat again. The man is a known cheater. He is habitual. He's a repeat offender. I appreciate your input. It ain't personal, you know what I'm saying? But he is a repeat offender when it comes to cheating. Why are you all looking at Deontay Wilder, who has never been caught performance-enhancing drugs, hiding a B sample, freaking fucking around with his gloves, just cutting corners on trying to freaking go in there for his 11th defense? Why aren't y'all recognizing that the man has been one of the cleanest fighters that you can recognize of this era? And him stepping in there for the 11th title defense and doing what a people's champ's supposed to do. Why aren't y'all giving him any sort of credit? But yet, y'all want to sit up here and advocate for Fury because it's accusations. Y'all want to advocate for Mark Breland just because, oh, he's quiet, he's carefree, he's in the man. Human beings do some crazy shit. And you know, why just automatically call a man a liar? And he's the fighter and he's been around that person for years and it's a part of his team. Why call him a liar like that? What does he have to benefit by dragging Mark Breland's name through the media in a way that is dirtying up his name? It's not like Mark Breland is a trainer in multiple freaking camps, but he's been around Deontay Wilder for quite some time. I'm not saying Mark is a bad guy. He's done nothing to me. I'm speaking as media. That's it. If he says as Mark Breland contaminated his water, he said that Mark Breland violated the code of the team by throwing in the towel. We know Mark Breland threw in the towel. He asked JD's, who was sitting to his left, to throw in the towel. JD said nope. And from what my understanding was, he asked again, throw in the towel. JD said nope. He threw in the towel. He threw in the towel anyway. When Deontay Wilder was still on his feet, he threw in the towel. Now, when Lennox Lewis got knocked out cold, right? Were people like, oh, he shouldn't come back and avenge his title against Hasim Rothman? Were y'all back there then? Were y'all saying, oh man, he got knocked out cold, there's no way he should come back? He's not stable enough. He was knocked out. He's not ready to come back. That's too much. But you got fighters that's fighting in the heaviest division, and they're bound to get knocked out, knocked down, take some hard punches and everything. But yet, somehow, some way, man, y'all have this ominous type of mentality when it comes to Wilder, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been in so many situations where people, like at the airport, the first picture I was able to get with Wilder in Vegas, the lady that was working behind the desk at the airport asked, was he a basketball player? But how do you attend basketball games and freaking celebrate the players who are scoring points and one of your favorite players? You know, you love to see them dunk or whatever. But yet when you have a boxer, you have boxing fans up here saying that he has the structure of a basketball player and they frown upon it. But these are the same people who wear basketball jerseys all around every day of their favorite team. But yet you say, wow, the legs are this and that and the other. And he has 41 freaking knockouts. And you say nobody he's fought. But he fought Fury twice. And the only one that was laying down in the first fight was Fury. Come on, man. Man, y'all, come on, man. Y'all smarter than this, man. Y'all trying to take accusations that he made after the fight. He hasn't even mentioned his belt. He's just up here telling y'all A lot of people saying, oh, well, Wilder didn't look the same that night. Okay, if he did look the same that night, why is it so far-fetched that something was going on? Something was going on. If he didn't look like the energetic Wilder that I showed you the video clip of going in the ring, he didn't look like that. His eyes was all freaking bugged, like he was just zoned out, like trying to overextend the focal point of understanding the environment he was in. He's going there for the 11th title defense, and he's overly focused. Like he's trying to stay coherent. Like, oh man, he's not feeling right. The first half of the fight, man, you could tell his legs wasn't there. But people come in here talking about an outfit. He didn't give you no outfit excuses as to why that. You didn't hear him say that. When the fight was called off and he was over in the look at the video, man. When he was over there sitting down, he was just, getting his gloves removed, shaking. He wasn't all irate, running around the ring, losing his fucking mind, trying to knock people out because the fight was stopped. So when it's time for him to settle down with his team, his family, and everything, separate himself from that night and then go back and revisit that night, go to the doctor and all that. He has every right to come back out, and he knows the full parameters around his words, because the tongue is a sword to life and death. So before he made this statement, I'm pretty damn sure he thought about what he was going to say and he put it out there. Why y'all acting like this shit he was reading off the palm of his hand, people? So why didn't Wilder get on this right away? Then they suspected something. They may not have known exactly what it was, man, until his sources. He was able to talk to his sources. Man, investigations aren't immediate. In that case, we will have a quick turnaround. There won't be years and years of people putting in work. There won't be years and years of data and intel being collected on individuals if it's that easy. He might have had to make some phone calls and have some people to talk to and try to do his own research. This is boxing. If you don't confiscate the gloves on that night, we're talking about somebody who's being punched in the head, bleeding from his ear. Fat lip taking punishment from a fighter who don't have power. Once again, from a fighter who doesn't have power, y'all. So which one is it going to be? Y'all are failing to realize that you just don't gather power at this stage in your boxing career. It don't matter how much you weigh. Tyson Fury is not a power puncher. He just came out of a fight with Tom Schwartz and Otto Wallin. Were they taking extreme amount of punishment? Was Otto Wallin stretched out? Answer the question. Did not Tyson Fury has a cut on the right eye? I mean, just give me those answers, man, because y'all act like boxers named Tyson Fury will automatically pick up this power. It doesn't happen that way. Deontay Wilder's hardest hitter fighter in the sport. 41 has tried and 41 failed. Even Stavern, the first one to go the distance, he obliterated Bermain Stavern in the rematch. Destroyed him. And then that was Tyson Fury, who was able to get up in the 12th round. So like I said before, why are you all acting like this man don't have the right to speak up for himself? It's his livelihood. He's not going to get his belt back by speaking up in the media. He just wants people to know that what he feels, and this is me just assessing his words. I'm not talking for him. He just wants his fans and those who support him and those who may not to understand what he felt that night and what he believed happened. But for those of you that's up here crying and pouting about him mentioning Mark Breland, because Mark Breland is this quiet individual. That happens in boxing, man. Boxing is a grimy sport. You have people that do things that they may be influenced. I don't know. But why would he all of a sudden make that accusation? A very damning accusation at that about Mark Breland. What's so bad about him saying, we already talked about throwing in the towel? Don't throw in the goddamn towel. At no circumstance. If I'm gonna talk about this and what I want to go out on my shield, then God damn it, let me go out on my shield, man. He said he wouldn't have died in the ring. He's not the first person to say that shit. It's not new words. We've heard that before. What's going on, Michael Lewis? What's good, man? He had his career tarnished, life endangerment, ass whooped, etc. Y'all act like he can't say anything on his behalf. Stop it. True words, man. True words. The man took a beating. Deontay Wilder took a beating that night, y'all. He took a beating. For all the composites of a basketball player, that man was on his feet when the fight ended by a guy who outweighed him big time. Tyson Fury, he pushed Deontay Wilder at the weigh-ins. That showed us something right now. Oh my God, Deontay's light. He's too light. He's been light. Come on, he's been light. Did you see how Tyson Fury pushed him? Oh my God, that fucked with Deontay Wilder. He's been light. He's been knocking people out at a lighter weight while contending in the heavyweight division. Just ask Alexander Usyk if it's easy to fight at a lighter weight and go in there and get the job done. Ask him. Because he found out that shit ain't easy. Fighting like Wilder is not easy. Look, Alexander Usyk, right? Isn't he the fighter that y'all say, oh man, he has fluent boxing skills. He's technically sound and everything else. He's a former cruiserweight unified champion. He's this, and this. He goes in there with a fighter like Derek Chisora that's known to just get sporadic at times, but he's about that smoke. And Usyk, the more technically sound fighter, quote unquote, he didn't look that good. Why y'all not sitting up here lighting your torches and running through the night on Usyk? Y'all still up here allowing Deontay Wilder to be influencing your life for the wrong reason. Y'all should give that man his flowers, as he said. Y'all should give him his flowers for 10 title defenses, stepping in there for the 11th defense of his title and taking and punishment the way he did, and still on his feet when the fight was called. You know what I'm saying? You should give him his love, man, as one of the greats to do it. And then, people are going to frown and back up in their seat and put their hand over their mouth and say, oh, greats. Well, that's what they were saying with the title defenses, right? Let's make something perfectly clear in the sport of boxing, right? The sport of boxing is absolutely a full contact sport. It is the Serengeti, all right? Boxing is the Serengeti, period. It is a huge, broad landscape with different type of boxers, and you can compare them, their styles and everything, of course, to what type of animals you want them to portray. If they're vicious, or if they're predators, if they're stalkers, whatever the situation may be, right? Understand this about boxing in general. It would never consist of all lions. Never. It would never consist of some Kodiak bears. It would never consist of some of the most vicious animals you can compare these fighters to. Boxing would never, ever have a depth of killers. So when you saying that fighters haven't fought anybody and all this other shit, and Deontay Wilder never fought, you cannot sit up here and ignore the era for which the Klitschko brothers was reigning. We didn't have fighters that was in surplus to go in there and basically take them off their pedestal. So when you get a fighter that's reigning WBC champion for as long as Deontay Wilder was, why do y'all act like we had killers in the midst? It wasn't that deep of a pool in the heavyweight division. Y'all need to understand that. The pool wasn't that deep. Now, of course, you want to say Alexander Povetkin, who I like his resume. All right. I like it. You know, him losing to Klitschko and then Anthony Joshua. Okay, but he lost, right? But they still want to praise him. Repeat drug cheat, right? All right. Now, Povetkin goes in there and he gets dropped twice against Dillian White. I'm talking about the pool of the heavyweight division. You're saying Alexander Povetkin is one of those guys. You're saying Pulev is one of those guys with we still wait for him to step in with Joshua. You say Dillian White, or you say Deontay Wilder ducked him and all this other shit. We have been cataloging or having on the roster the top three heavyweights in Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, right? All those are the top three, period. Anthony Joshua has the unified titles. Now that Tyson Fury has the WBC, and of course, Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is still top three right now, period, right? So from 4 on down, who are we talking about? We can't put Andy Ruiz in there. We can't put Joseph Parker in there. Who else outside of number 3 belongs in top 3? You gonna put Usyk? Because some of you fools was talking about Usyk. We're gonna put Usyk in there now that he's faced his second fight in the heavyweight division. You gonna put him in the fray after the way he looked? So we go back to Alexander Povetkin. We go to Dillian White, who's been knocked out fucking cold, right? Who else is out there? Kubrat Pulev. Who else can we put out there? Some of the rising stars. Joe Joyce, Oscar Rivas, Daniel Dubois. Who else is out there in the heavyweight? Robert Helenius, Andy Konoski, Charles Martin. Who else? Holla at me. Who else are we going to put out here for the heavyweight division since it's so deep? Since y'all saying he didn't fight nobody. Who else? Luis Ortiz, right? Luis Ortiz was undefeated in the 2 losses he has against Deontay Wilder. Why no one else in the top 3 would want to fight Luis Ortiz if y'all want to say he's so old? But y'all want to praise Anthony Joshua stepping in there with a 40-year-old Alexander Povetkin. Facts. Y'all want to praise Anthony Joshua stepping in Wembley Stadium September 22nd, facing Alexander Povetkin. But when Deontay Wilder faced Luis Ortiz, y'all want to sit up here and talk about how old Luis Ortiz is. When the man was undefeated. Not only that, to the haters, y'all want to sit up here and say, yes, oh man, Ortiz is going to win. Ortiz is going to win. Oh shit. While Deontay Wilder once again was proven that his chin is respectable. His chin strap is respectable. He took that damage for 41 seconds and went to the ring. Now the haters come back again. The referee prolonged. You cannot prognosticate a man's demise when he is proven to work himself through adversity. You can't sit up here and say that shit, that the referee stepped in and caused him more time. That's why Luis Ortiz didn't get it done. Are you serious? Y'all been on this man's neck with criticism for the longest. Y'all thought Luis Ortiz was going to get it done. No. Tyson Fury goes up in here. And he has better success after them not taking an immediate rematch. He goes out and frolic around facing ragu motherfucking empty jars of ragu and Tom Schwartz and Otto Wallin. And then he want to go jump off and play around with Vince McMahon over there at WWE. Then comes back with the right master plan and everything in place and fight Deontay Wilder. And he wins. Where's the proof he poisoned him? Well, you know, why don't you ask him? Shoot him an email, drop a DM, a PM, or whatever, and ask him. Not once have I said that it was true. I'm speaking in light of the accusations that was made from Deontay Wilder on Mark Breland. That's what I'm doing. Ask him. By all means, use your necessities and ask him. Go on his social media and ask him. I'm just speaking on what his message was from his interview that everybody was clamoring to freaking know about. Sequestering. Please, why isn't he spoken yet? Why? So now that he speaks, it goes back to square one where people saying he's just making excuses. He's making up these allegations and he ain't shit. Y'all just hate the man. Those of you naysayers is out there, y'all don't want to respect that you're talking about boxing and what he's done for the sport. He was more of a people's champ than you'll get from a lot of other people. Because you take the type of fighter he is on this level and what he's been able to accomplish with such a dense amateur pedigree. And y'all don't want to commend that man for being an innately gifted fighter. One that never fit the visual structure of his fan base as the template of a heavyweight fighter. Y'all don't want to give that man credit. Who is you? Like, who is you, man? Y'all credit Mike Tyson for walking to the ring, knocking dudes clean out. Clean out. But Mike Tyson has way more baggage attached to his career, inside and out the ring, than Deontay Wilder does. Mike Tyson has resulted to physical harm outside of landing punches on his opponents. And y'all not saying anything about it because y'all think, Mike Tyson is a god and he can get away with it. And you know what? He was the one that was back then fighting bigger guys and all that, right? But check this out. Mike Tyson was a short guy and he didn't have that much of advantage with reach, but he was going in there, with power that he was blessed with. Listen to me. Listen to me. Mike Tyson was blessed with this uncanny ability to have this power that was the equalizer to his height. And he was going in there against much taller fighters. He was knocking their ass out. But you take Deontay Wilder with a different type of physical structure than Mike Tyson, innately gifted with brutal power. And he's basically emulating what Mike Tyson was able to do. But then y'all same people would say Mike Tyson lost against the best names. But yeah, when it comes to Deontay Wilder, you say he never fought the best names. How is that the case? If you say that Tyson Fury is one of the best heavyweights, Anthony Joshua is one of the best heavyweights who basically didn't never want to step in the ring with Deontay Wilder. This is the same guy who was saying that I'm going to put a restraining order. I'm going to file an RSO on him. I don't want him anywhere close to the ring. I don't want him walking up to the ring ropes. I don't want him get into the ring. But they weren't saying that about Fury. Joshua wasn't saying that about Klitschko. Y'all not gonna take that in consideration? Like Deontay Wilder was blessed with the same ability of Mike Tyson, different body structure, knocking dudes out. He don't get credit for that shit. Y'all say Mike Tyson lost to the bigger names. What about Deontay Wilder? He lost to a bigger name, right? Well, one of the other top tier names that was in the heavyweight division. He lost to Tyson Fury. Isn't that a big name? Because last time I checked, Anthony Joshua lost to a lower tier fighter as a last minute replacement outside of Jarrell Miller. Y'all ain't criticizing Anthony Joshua the same way that he's clinically depressed. I've been saying something look wrong, but it's time for everything to come out. Fury won't be punished by anything but karma at this point. Still let it all out. Deontay deserves so much better. That's right. Let it all out, man. Speak your mind. It's crazy how people want to put race into it like you have an option of the freedom of speech. Stop putting race into something that's clear and present. Stop putting race into this shit. Y'all wanted to be race with Deontay Wilder coming out of Alabama. Y'all wanted to be about race. But y'all ain't talking that race shit when he was in there with the opponent that looked like him. If it's the black fighter, it's all good. But it deals with race if he comes out about Tyson Fury. Okay, let's just say, for instance, Tyson Fury record is clean and he defended his titles when he was champion and all that. People will be making it strictly about race, right? But then if you look at the history of Tyson Fury and why he left the sport, and then the storyline that he chose to attach to himself with a new PR team, mental illness, you don't think that's disrespecting people when he continued to come out here and act like a fool? That's not disrespecting those who have mental illness, for him to come back and use it as a pillow for people to basically show empathy, to basically feel sorry for him. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for dropping through, Lewis. Salute, man. The non-Wilder rematch is all the proof people need that there was fuckery going on. My only point in this trilogy is, looking at it, it does look a little grim. That this trilogy actually take place this year. It's not going to happen. That's what it seems like. So therefore, we have to look forward to we have to look forward to 2021 and see what's going to happen with Tyson Fury. Because Tyson Fury has been adamant in saying that he's going to fight somebody else. He's been adamant about that shit. And I know with the WBC and everything, they're trying to link up that fight with Anthony Joshua for undisputed heavyweight championship. It's a lot of money that's pending. Future compensation in a heavyweight unification for undisputed. But I'm gonna tell you like this though. They can want that fight, an all UK fight. They can go ahead and give Tyson Fury his license back, the same person who relinquished it when all these allegations started coming out from Mr. Carefoot, because they was trying to say the man served them uncastrated wild boar when he never had wild boar on his property. But anyway, we'll get back to it though. All UK undisputed heavyweight championship is still gonna have pretty decent revenue. It is. It's gonna generate some pretty good damn money. But I truly don't think it's gonna generate that blooming, that freaking over the top interest as if it was Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. Because you have much more of a danger zone there when it comes to Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua should thank his parents, should thank himself for being over there in the UK, the people that still respect him over there. Because why? Because they don't want to see him get knocked out by Deontay Wilder. They don't want to see them stretched out in front of the light sunbathing. They don't want to see that shit. With Tyson Fury, it comes down to a point knowing that he's not a power puncher. So it's going to come down to boxing. I believe IQ-wise, Tyson Fury exceeds that of Anthony Joshua when it comes to boxing IQ. That's just me. So with that being said, people are going to look at that fight like, yeah, it's an undisputed. It's all UK. This is for all the marbles. Good. Kudos. Now, what they really want to see is Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. Because a lot of people with one loss on this record still believe Deontay Wilder go in there and knock Anthony Joshua out. Period. They believe and know for a fact that when it comes to Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, betting odds, people are going to be unsure to put their money on Anthony Joshua because they're scared, because he's been on the canvas several times and he doesn't have a chin. They're just trying to stall him out enough in fighting basic tier level freaking opposition to the point where he can get out the sport and still be respected. He's a two-time unified champion now. Two-time unified champion. So they're trying to make they're still trying to hold a glimmer of hope from his gold medal that he won, but yet he didn't really win the gold medal round in the London Olympics. Go back and take a look at that fight, right? He's a two-time unified champion, which the grand scale of things, they're trying to make somehow, some way, Anthony Joshua will become the undisputed so he can solidify himself as being one of the great heavyweights out of the UK. They're trying their best to somehow create a master plan for Anthony Joshua to become undisputed heavyweight champion over in the UK. They don't want Deontay Wilder to be a part of that. Wilder will destroy AJ. Destroy him. Destroy AJ. You know it. I know it. And the UK fans know it. What do you see? What do you see Anthony Joshua on this thumbnail? Man, come on. Talk to me. What do you see him at? Come on, man. Joshua ain't trying to get that smoke. Deontay Wilder sitting up there looking over his body of work, man. The champ is looking over his body of work, man. Look at the headstones, man. Joshua isn't trying to see that. He wants his good buddy who he wanted to help train for the Deontay Wilder fight. He wanted Fury. Now that Fury has won, guess what? When are we going to see undisputed? What legal action if he doesn't fight Wilder next? This is what people wants to know. What legal action is it going to be? That's the question at hand. What legal action will it be if we're talking about a contract and everybody want to act like, hey, well, check this out. It has expired. When have we heard of a contract expiring? Come on, man. Look, did they not put enough quarters in that? When have we known a contract to expire during a pandemic, which the fight was pushed back due to that? And I know Bob Arum said it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the fight was pushed back. It's still an active timeline. So if that's the case, does that give that fighter, like Fury, an option to fight somebody else? What about this right here? What about this? Let me put this back up for you. Receipts. Do you believe that it's in your best interest to dog out Deontay Wilder all because of what he's talking about with firing Mark Breland when it comes to this right here? It is time for you to be a man and honor your agreement. I read this the other day. What is this bullshit of you fighting Carlos Takam instead of me? We're talking about the Carlos Takam that just came off a decision win over Jerry Forrest, right? You got to be kidding me. When you were going through your darkest time, people, I told you that if you got yourself together, I would give you a title shot. Being a man of my word, I gave you the title shot. But y'all up here vilifying and trying to verbally castrate any type of integrity of Deontay Wilder. It's lunacy. When that fight was a draw, I told you that I would give you a rematch. You know I was offered more money to fight Joshua than I was getting to fight you. Again, being a man of my word. I fought you like I said I would. In the rematch agreement, that was a rematch clause. Now it is time for you to be a man and honor your word instead of trying to weasel out of your agreement. Scared people run. But a scary man will break his contract, you coward ass bitch. Is that not clear enough and raw enough, straight to the point? Man, come on, man. That shit is real, dog. He said the non-Wilder rematch is all the proof people need. There was fuckery going on, man. You know what I'm saying? Receipts is the mother. Sometimes I care enough to go in detail on shit. Sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I would put in the best work to advocate a a narrative, advocate for a boxer. But you have too many people out here believing that people who speak up about Deontay Wilder is somewhat considered a dick rider or fanboy, which to someone like me, that just goes to show that you yourself is a hater, a full-time temporary of the sport of boxing. And you believe that you dictate the terms of who support a certain fighter. And Deontay Wilder, for some apparent strange reason, he pulls negative energy from people when he absolutely gave each and every one of you what you expected a heavyweight fighter to do. Go in there and get the job done in early fashion because you don't get paid overtime. You don't get paid freaking overtime for stepping in the ring in the heaviest division of boxing. You do not get paid overtime. I repeat. So why are you mad when you glorify greats before us who was heavy punchers? People talk about Ernie Shavers, how hard he used to hit. People talk about Rocky Marciano, and they want to glorify him because he retired undefeated. But yet they don't talk about how much punishment Rocky Marciano took. Deontay Wilder, in my opinion, for him to have such basic skills, he didn't take a lot of punishment, in my opinion, like he did the last fight. He didn't take that type of punishment through his career. And of course, they want to talk about George Foreman. They'll talk about Evander Holyfield, James Toney, Roy Jones. I mean, they'll mention all of these great names, man, like they've never been touched up in the ring. Like a lot of these greats don't have losses on their record. But Deontay Wilder has one defeat on his record. He has a defeat from one of the top tier heavyweights in the sport of boxing. So you know all this thing you were saying, like, well, he ain't fought nobody. He ain't fought nobody. Explain the depth of the heavyweight division, and then we can talk. Fuck a box rec. Let's go off the names that are generated in the heavyweight division that are considered the top tier names that would have wanted to step in there with Deontay Wilder. Name them. Dillian White didn't want that smoke. He can't even get past a fighter who he dropped twice. And we already know that's what he's about. He got stopped by Joshua in the 7th. And guess what? Ding dong. He goes in there and gets stopped by Alexander Povetkin in the 5th. And he has a right to continue to sit up here and call Deontay Wilder a coward. He said that Deontay Wilder was a disgrace to boxing. We're talking about a fighter who wanted to change up the glove situation and also somehow find David Copperfield and make his B sample disappear. This is Dillian White now, the same person that was campaigning to fight Deontay Wilder instead of trying to campaign to step in the ring again with Anthony Joshua. The same person that knocked him out when he didn't have the belts. Now he has the belts. He's right next door in your backyard. Why aren't you campaigning to fight Anthony Joshua? Because you know damn well that there's other underlining obstacles that you have to go through. The lack of respect they have for you to step in there and get the job done. Alexander Povetkin the first time around was a step for Dillian White to get it done. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to give him that much shine. I'm talking about Deontay Wilder, bronze bomb, the champ, man. 42 victories, 1 defeat, and 41 knockouts. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about him putting the allegations out there as clear as they possibly can be. Clear as they possibly can be, man. I'm trying to help some of these individuals to keep on putting these thumbnails up, and it's always something to dog him out. Like they never want to give this man credit for winning the way he did, defending the way he did, but yet they still out here just because you've been freaking sending up SOS signals for him to speak on the situation. He finally comes out, and you know he probably didn't want to come out. That's why he didn't speak to the mainstream media. He came out, said what he had to say, and then once again, y'all sit up here and start lighting up and grabbing your bow and arrows and trying to shoot him in the heart, trying anything possible, loading the clips. Where is he? Grabbing the slingshots. Hey, can you give me a piece of glass? I'm looking for the bronze bomber. You know, it's time for me to make him bleed too. You know, because we don't believe what he's saying. He's up here, you know, making those accusations against Mark Breland. He's a grown ass fucking man, and people acting like he can't say what he say, and he the fighter. He's a freaking fighter that had that man in his corner for a long time. Wouldn't he know what that's about? But receipts, though, people. I just want you to see it. Receipts. That people out there love the champ. Is this the same Deontay Wilder walked out of MGM Grand? Look at all those people around the tunnel entrance. Are they booing him like Staples Center and MGM? Are they, people? Answer me. Do you see these people booing? Do you hear them? Do you see their mannerisms? They are happy. The heavyweight champion is walking into the ring. Come on, man. Come on. Come on, man. Like, y'all don't see this shit. Why weren't they booing him going in his fight Dominic Brazil? Do you see how packed this house is? Look how packed that shit is, y'all. People are on their feet. People are on their feet. I mean, am I missing something? Can't nobody say that. That's my footage. You can't sit up here and question why I'm sitting up here, why I'm talking the way I'm talking, because I know people out there love the champ for who he is. But we got too many damn media, new media, that's putting the same thumbnails up here trying to find a way to dog him out. And they never seen the man fight in person. They never seen him close out a regional arena doing Bomb Squad. They never seen him. They never shook his hand. They never seen him interact with the kids and the people.
Hey, what you got to say there, champ? Yeah, man. Much love, Black. Hey, Deontay.
I got to give you this last receipt.
What you got to say?
Appreciate you, champ. I appreciate that memory.
Believe it.
That look like a white fan to me.
World Combat Sports.
People's champ. That look like a white fan to me. He taking freaking pictures with him. He ain't stuck up.
What you got to say there, champ? Yeah, man. Much love, Black. Hey, Deontay. What you got to say? What you got to say?
It looked like he was freaking interacting with the crowd to me. Why y'all always want to put race into something? It looked like he was interacting with the fans as a people's champion to me. What did it look like to you? What does it look like to you? Don't be mad because I got footage and receipts to further validate all the good shit he was doing as a champ. Because people always want to talk about his words. What did you see? Was he's just going to black? Y'all always want to compare him to the LDBC, right? He just socialized with black media. He looked like he was taking pictures with more than one race that was out there. He looked like he was interacting with his fan base that was there and paid to see him fight. So why the constant vilification here on social media as if this man didn't do anything? So therefore, if you don't feel he did anything, maybe those two clips, recent, this is not so far away. Maybe that'll change your mind, man. Stop looking at the fact that he's up here calling Mark Breland out. Stop looking at the fact that he's calling a repeat habitual cheat and Tyson Fury out. You trying to defend a guy who you know have cheated the sport, but you calling yourself hardcore boxing fans, you don't even want to take acknowledgement that he's a repeat cheat. Y'all want to say egg weight. Oh my God, that is just a funny name. A lot of you don't even know what an egg weight is used for. Y'all just say, oh, that is untrue. How, Luke? How, Joe? I mean, how y'all just going to discount him saying egg weight? How are you going to discount what he's saying is not being true just off other people's word? Y'all really don't even fuck with boxing like that. So how are you going to look at that as if it has no merit to it? You can't do that, man. That's absolutely being extremely biased. And it's just an easy target for you to say, you know what, let me jump on the bandwagon of everybody else. Because once again, I need to go back to this receipt. Let me go back to the receipt, man.
So he was hitting him with the knuckles, and the glove part was not really attached. It was like, so he was catching him with the part that's supposed to be over the wrist. Not correct. Not true.
So how Sway? How do you know? You was just on the slab there, Joe Rogan, for saying some information that wasn't true. You're the one that just, supposedly got raised up $1 million to elevate your platform, and you had to come out here and tell the people that you spoke to early on something. So how are you going to automatically say it's not true? Have you had Deontay Wilder on your PC? Have you invited him to speak? No. You might have invited him. He might have turned you down. I don't know. But have you had him in front of you to ask him that? Y'all remember this clip that I told you, right? In case Joe Rogan does have Deontay Wilder on his show. Because I can assure you his energy going to change. He was so quick to say, that's not true. And look at Luke.
Easily provable. The next one, he said egg weights. He said he had egg weights in his hand. This is recent, like a couple days ago. Then yesterday there was an article that said that he believes that his water was poisoned
by his own trainer.
And Mark Breland was a part of that.
Understand, for folks who may not know who Mark Breland is, former I think Olympic gold medalist,
yes.
world.
Well, like I said before, Luke, don't think when you talk about this boxing game, don't think. Don't get on here, advocate for somebody and against Deontay Wilder, and you thinking. No. Put down the producer notes, do your research, and know.
Champion across 2 different weight divisions, if I'm not mistaken.
If I'm not mistaken, dude, do you know or don't you know? You talking like you freaking know. You either know or you don't know, bruh. Which one is going to be? You up here stuttering all over the place. You don't have your producer notes in front of you, and you making yourself look crazy.
The voice of sanity, or was, until he was just...
The voice of sanity? Dude, what the fuck are you talking about, the voice of sanity? Bring up a clip, Luke, where freaking Mark Breland is the one that's talking to Deontay Wilder at the tunnel or freaking hyping him up or freaking giving him that calmness before he steps to the ring. Find the motherfucking clip, because you're just up here putting words together so they can sound good.
I think Olympic gold medalist,
yes.
world champion,
yes.
Across 2 different weight divisions, if I'm not mistaken. He is the voice of sanity, or was, till he was dismissed in that corner. That was the guy that threw the towel for him, Breland should be thanked by Wilder and his camp until the end of time. His other trainer, I forget his last name, starts with a D.
See? He don't even know JD's name, people. This is how much energy people are looking to tear down Deontay Wilder. And this motherfucker don't even know shit about what the fuck he talking about. And both of these cats have just been elevated to huge paychecks, huge contractual assignments in their freaking podcast careers. Now, I fuck with Luke Campbell. I listen to him. I ain't gonna lie. Both of these individuals, Joe Rogan and Luke Thomas, they got to do better. Sometimes I actually care enough to show up and go in depth about some shit. And this right here, with all this down verbalization that he want to articulate out to the fans and dress it up real nice because of his platform, he knows not what he speaks. This dude is absolutely off the mark with trying to explain about Mark Breland. You don't know shit about Mark Breland. If you did, you'll know about his Olympic status and you'll know how many divisions he's competed in. How, if you saying I believe and I think, how do you know he's been the voice of sanity? How do you know that he's the voice of sanity, Luke? You up here trying to make yourself sound great to the people. Slow that shit down, man.
He was out there at the post-fight press conference being like, I don't know if I would have thrown that towel. It's like, you fucking yes, man. Are you kidding?
So you didn't know who JD's name is, but you calling him a yes man. So if you didn't know his name, that means you don't know who he is, period. You don't know any history or how long he been with Deontay Wilder or any of that. But yet you up here saying he's a yes man. It's been plenty of trainers that has been with fighters for a long time. And they're not yes men. You know what I'm saying? They're not yes men. But for people to get on this damn parade with square wheels on it and try to say this motherfucker's a smooth ride just because they have a platform to say that shit is bullshit, man.
Breland took it upon himself to, I don't save the guy's life, but certainly make the right call for halting the contest. He was thanked by being dismissed and now essentially dragged through the mud with utterly, what I'm guessing, baseless accusations about poisoning his own fighter. I mean, maybe Tyson Fury's fucking awesome. That seems like the simplest explanation.
Well, yeah, okay. He's fucking awesome. Oh, that's the end point right there. That's the end game. Let me just dress that up with an exclamation. He's fucking awesome. Tyson Fury is fucking awesome. A person who has been a repeat cheat. Luke Thomas saying he's fucking awesome. What in their right mind makes Tyson Fury fucking awesome? Did you hear him say anything about Tyson Fury for that compliment to render the appraisal that it should? Being with that fucking awesome statement, what renders that? What do you have to back that up? Tyson Fury is fucking awesome. Seriously, Tyson Fury is fucking awesome. Like, come on, how and when are we ignoring the fact that this man and what he did in the sport? Well, you have sparring partners saying you remove the padding from the glove. So how can Luke come up to say Tyson Fury is fucking awesome, but you can't say Deontay Wilder is fucking awesome? It may have been Deontay Wilder is fucking awesome for defending his title successfully 10 times and reigning over 5 years. He's fucking awesome. He's fucking awesome, people. To start the sport, to fight for his child that has spina bifida. He's fucking awesome. He's fucking awesome, people. I didn't hear that shit come out their lips. Why are people up here? You continue to dog a man out. Y'all just want to mention black this, black this, black this, black that. Y'all not mentioning how the man, what he was doing before he actually got into boxing. Working 3 jobs, man. Out here doing what a man's supposed to do. Taking care of man's responsibility. Daughter has spina bifida. He said, you know what? I got to make more money. I got to support my seed. Let me go out here and go into the full contact sport, the hurt business. Let me go out here and get this shit. Started the sport kind of late. Playing basketball. Switched over to a sport where he's saying, you know what? I'm going to compete in the heavyweight division. And the rest is history. Oh, he's the windmill. Y'all always find some type of numerator to put up there and think it matches well with the denominator. Y'all just want to continue to say, oh, he's a windmill. He's a windmill. But yeah, he was knocking dudes out. Let me go this other receipt. I gotta, and this is gonna be it, y'all. I gotta end it with this right here. You know what I'm saying? I gotta take you to the benediction. Shout out to the bomb squad and his team. Man, I hope to see you back in the square. I want to give you this last.
Hello, my people. My bomb squad on.
Boom. I'm gonna let you get that. He said, hello, my people. He's addressing his people, right? Okay. Let me switch it over to this.
Silence is gold. But my ears can still hear and my eyes can still see. The Bible also tells us to be swift to hear and slow to speak. You see, what you don't understand, thief, what you did is what my people deal with all the time. Someone cheating them from providing their greatness into the world. But it's a burden that we cut off only to make us stronger. I saw in the first fight where Ricky Hatton was pulling down your gloves to put your fist in an improper position. Y'all tried the same method the second time, but this time you scratched flesh out of my ears, which caused my ears to bleed. It's impossible for a brand new 10-ounce glove to bend, to keep a smushed in form, or to have loose space. I highly believe you put something hard in your glove, something the size and the shape of an egg weight. Here's the reason why the side of my face swelled up in an egg weight form. And it left a dent in my face as well. But in the midst of it all, you still couldn't keep this king down. You would have had to kill me. In the end, it took a crab in a bucket referee and a disloyal trainer to throw the towel in just to stop me. Proverbs, the 6th chapter 30, 31st says, excuses may be found from a thief who steals because he is starved. But if he is caught, he would have to pay back 7 times what he stole, even if he had to sell everything in his house. And payback is coming.